Hello and welcome back to Taking Back Saturday, a Happy Buyers Club podcast where we break down the real estate market each and every Friday to help home buyers build confidence, follow a process and hopefully buy really happy. I'm your host, Chase Jones, and joining me, as he does each and every week, is real estate daddy, Sam Hunter.
What up?
Hey, dude.
Let's do this.
Mate, part 3
Yeah.
of our buyer series. This is what the fans have been wanting and this is what the fans are getting. The reality of buying a house is that if you are buying a property, chances are you're probably going to have to speak to a real estate agent.
That's the scary
At least one.
Yeah, at least one, most of the time. And it's, I would imagine, the thing that everybody thinks is going to suck the most. And it doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Most of them will actually try and help you.
Definitely. And so this podcast, we're going to try and, get into the nitty gritty of like how to do that. Like how can you get the support almost, like you make sure that the agents are working with you instead of you working against them. As like I said, in a best case scenario, you're going to speak to one real estate agent and you're going to get into the right property, but it's more than likely you're going to be speaking to a whole lot of them.
For sure, but not that many. Like we do this exercise for every single client that we bring on. We look at who sold a property in the last 2 years in an area that they may want to buy in. Invariably, there are a few hundred names that come back at us. And you look at that and you're like, and again, if a buyer's looking and doing this exercise, you're going to think, geez, that's a lot of names. The reality out of that, call it 200, is that there'll be 15 that have sold 80% of what you want to buy in the last 2 years. And they are the 15 people you should do your best to speak to every single week.
Absolutely. It's a simple exercise. You can jump on REA, you can hit the agents tab, you can search a suburb that you're looking to purchase within and just look at the volume numbers that these agents are selling in the area. Volume creates volume, for the most part. More signboards, more just sold stickers creates more appraisals, and they're getting the next listing, the next one. They know what the next one up is going to be. So knowing who those agents are and then you introducing yourself to them ahead of time instead of shaking hands on a Saturday and expecting them to remember you and what you're all about is key.
For sure. Last week we were talking about the market this year and we were saying that, it wasn't uncommon for us on that first Saturday back to see there being 20, 30 groups. That's 40 or 50 people inside a property at once. If it's the first time that you're putting your data, for lack of a better way of describing it, into an agent's phone, then it is difficult for them to remember who you are, what you look like, what you're looking for. And you may just feel like and be a number on a Monday when they ring you back saying, hey, did you want to buy it? Can I have some feedback? By working through these steps, and we're going to be really deliberate in everything that we talk about today, because talking to real estate agents, it's just a process. And it's actually a very repeatable process. And so you can kind of set this up and then you're copying and pasting similar text messages every single week. Not to sort of give the game away about what we do, but a lot of what we do is monotonous, repetitive, process-orientated work. And that's why it delivers results. And there's no reason you can't do it for yourself too. And if you're just looking for one thing in a couple of different suburbs, it's not going to take you hours and hours and hours every single week.
Yeah. So if we harbour back to part 1 of this buyer series, when we set up what it is that you want, what are the non-negotiables, what are things that I must have in this property? Okay, we're just going to start to build out a buyer brief. This is who I am. This is what I'm looking to buy. Roughly, this is what I'm looking to spend. You're not giving away absolutely every detail of your financial situation, but enough for an agent, or 15, call it, great agents, to know who you are and what you're looking for, putting it on their radar. And this can be in the form of a text message, like you said. It can be in the form of an REA inquiry. There is a comment section at the bottom of any property listing where you can contact the agent, and instead of just clicking, price guide, send, put your brief in there. Hi, I'm Sam. I'm looking for a 3-bed, minimum 500 square metre block in XYZ suburbs in the early to mid ones.
Must have a deck, don't want a pool.
Yeah.
Like, be as specific as you possibly can. And that's the text that you send to all 200 if you want to, but it's certainly what you keep reminding those 15. I don't reckon there's going to really be more than 15 core agents for 99% of people listening to this show. And if you can send that text every single week, and maybe you vary it every now and again to be like, hey, you didn't reply to me last week. Here it is again. Or, hey, thanks for your time last week and on the weekend, and sending that one through. Just want to make sure that I'm top of your list again, because I am the best buyer in insert suburb here.
Now, there's an exercise that we do with our clients ahead of before diving into an actual full-blown engagement and search about feasibility. Looking back at the last 20 to 25 sales within a particular area with the budget that we're working with, and Do we like it? Do we not like it? By doing that exercise, again, this is for clarity before you start your search as to whether something's actually going to be out there. But picking those examples out that you loved, call it at least 3 examples of properties that have sold in the last 3 to 6 months that meet what you're looking for and are within your budget. Because if you can use those as realistic examples with an agent and say, I need to find the next 123 Smith Street, which matches the brief that you wrote at the headline, there you go. You've given them a snapshot of what they're actually looking for. And they might even know the neighbour. They might be in the database.
That is actually the first perfect call to make to those agents. If you do that exercise and you go, rea.com.au, sold, 3-bed, 1-bath, keyword here, deck, in your 3 suburbs. And there's properties that come in there. Anything that you actually go, man, if we were organised, I'd probably at least made an offer on that one. You call that agent and you say, hey, Chase, you sold 123 Smith Street. It is exactly what I'm looking for. Do you know the neighbour? What else have you got? You're the guy that I reckon.
Are they happy there? Can I buy it?
I reckon I'm going to buy a house from you in the next 2 months. Let's work together. That is so much better than waiting for them to get the next one and sending the same generic realestate.com.au inquiry as everybody else. Or worse, not sending that inquiry and just rolling up on the weekend, flicking your Berkeys off and going through the house and then having to ask all these questions and feeling rushed and feeling panicked and wondering, oh my God, what do I do next? Right?
Yeah.
Just a process.
Yeah. And it's identifying yourself as, I am the best buyer this month, this quarter for this area.
For sure.
Putting your hand up and then following it up. Like you've sent the text or you've sent the RA inquiry telling them who you are, but then on a Saturday, purposefully going and saying, hi, I'm Chase. I sent you that text on Tuesday.
This is what I look like. This is what
me.
I sound like. I am the best buyer. And I know we say that often on this show, and I know it may sound cliche, but the best buyers get the best opportunities before everybody else. And yes, sometimes they still make it to realestate.com.au because even with the best buyer, you might want to have competition to make the best buyer pay a little bit more. But you know about it early. You're prepared early. You are in the best position to plan your offer before the first Saturday, before that best and finals closing day, before an auction date, so that you can walk in there and just work to your plan. And if you buy it, awesome. If you don't, that's okay because someone else paid more than you've planned to have paid.
I like that you said prepared because another big part of being a great buyer is being an organised buyer.
For sure.
And this does hold weight with agents as well. Like even on the weekend just gone, there is a few agents that we bought one property from and then we were in the running to buy another one with a change of heart, but both said that their preference would be to sell to us because we've got our shit together. You can also have your shit together by being organised. Make the calls before the Saturday, understand everything you can about that property, ask all the right questions about who's living there, where are they moving to, how long do they need, why are they selling, what are the expectations on price, what's the best comparable, is there a building and pest report I can see, can I see it before Saturday? Asking all this stuff ahead of time so that when it is busy on a Saturday and you just want to go and say, g'day, I'm Chase.
Do I like this house or not?
That's it. The last question left is, do I actually like this place? Am I walking around? Is this exactly what I had set up in my little profile that I built out of this property ahead of time? An organised buyer is a great buyer, and that does hold weight with agents who are like, this guy's not going to stuff me around. This is not going to be hard.
For sure.
This is going to be frictionless. If we can come to an agreement, I want to support them because I know who he is and I know what he's all about and he knows everything about this property. Let's just make it happen.
I think the point that you just made there about support cannot be overstated, right? They get an offer from you. You've done all that work, right? You might have seen them 2 or 3. You've made that initial phone call and you then make an offer. Suddenly they start supporting that offer rather than negotiating against it. That is the reality of being the best buyer in the marketplace, is that your offers will get supported rather than just presented and then be like, we'll see what we can do with them. I don't know anything about them.
100%. I remember a conversation I had with Pat Ivey when he was sitting in that chair last year, and Pat said to me that...
Shout out to Pat!
Yeah, that sellers ask questions too. They're like, who is that guy?
Yeah.
And he can say, well, I spoke to him on Tuesday when he made the initial inquiry. I spoke to him again on Thursday when he had a few more questions. Came through and shook my hand on Saturday and said that he loved the property and will be offering this afternoon. And here we are with that offer. That's a story. Even though he knows a couple of things about you, but as opposed to, I don't know.
Met him on the weekend.
This guy was just an email that rolled through on Saturday. He didn't even shake my hand.
They filled in my expression of interest form and said they won't sign a contract till they've had it accepted. There's a big difference between being the average buyer and the best buyer.
And the real estate agent is not the enemy. They can feel like it sometimes, and I know for a lot of people...
They're doing a job.
They are doing a job. But there is a way, and a lot of deals, all parties need to feel like they've had a fair,
for sure,
fair deal.
That is the reality of it. In anything, right? You don't, nothing, no, there is no transaction in the world that happens unless it feels fair. That is just the reality of it, right? And real estate has to feel fair because the transaction is such a high number, right? It's such a big commitment financially, emotionally. If anybody feels like they're being screwed over, they just walk away. That is just the reality of it. And actually, that's where auctions sometimes go the wrong way. We're going to talk about auctions way down the line, but it has to feel fair. A way that it feels fair for the seller is if they have the utmost confidence via their agent that you're the right buyer for their home. And that does start with how you communicate, how often you communicate, how well you communicate, how organized that you can be by the time you get to that house. And as you say, you just walk in there and decide if you like it.
Absolutely. Well, it's, so like the real estate agents that you will meet along the way, there will certainly be ones that you won't feel like you're getting their support, and that's okay. Don't blacklist them just because of that, because there will be opportunities that come about where they will have the listings.
They just are who they are.
You just got to follow that process.
Yep.
So from the get-go, identifying those agents, get the message out there of that you're in the market. This is what you're wanting to buy. Be consistent with the communication with them. So that's text messages every week. Mm-hmm. It is getting online, submitting the inquiries, then getting the communication via phone if possible, so you can actually start a dialogue with them, asking those questions, building out a profile of the property that you're going to see. Plan to inspect that property, whether it's on Saturday or beforehand. Get there, shake hands, and then follow through afterwards. Give good feedback, even 100%. On the properties that you do not like.
Especially on the properties that you don't like, because you might not want to buy it. We're actually going to help them sell it, and what that's going to do is make them want to help you with the next one.
For sure. And if you've said during the week that you're looking for X, Y, Z, and then you get there on the weekend and it was those things, they'll be like, but this is what you said you're looking for. But if you can help them refine what you're looking for, they'll have a deeper understanding of what you want. And that might ping something in their brain where they're like, I'm actually going to a place on Tuesday that does have the bigger deck.
Mate, I'll give you that example. We went and had a look at a property, and from a box ticking perspective, it was it. The deck, though, you couldn't look up because of black mold. Pretty easy reason not to buy that property. You wouldn't believe it, but that didn't make the marketing photos.
What?
Yeah.
You're kidding.
Who would have thought?
So, yeah, a big part of agent communication is getting to them well before opens, and then post opens, giving good feedback so that you can just double down on the fact that you are a great buyer and you're here and you're serious and you don't intend on doing this for 6 months. You would like to be buying within 6 weeks.
That is the exact point. I was like, guys, if you can follow this process, you won't have to do it forever, right? Whether you buy on market, ahead of the market, sneakily away from the market, you're going to get a result probably within 3 months, right? It may not be 6 weeks, but it won't be 6 months, because you're just doing the work that nobody else is doing, that very few of the other buyers in the market are doing, and that will put you ahead of everybody else. You'll just make better decisions sooner, and you'll have a shitload more help from the people who are actually selling the properties.
Nice one. Big shout out to our agent friends. You're all good eggs. And to all the buyers out there, get your shit together. He's Sam. I'm Chase. Cue the song.